Hello, everyone. I'm Alice. If someone told you that simply buying an aircraft carrier would instantly transform your country into a global superpower, would you believe it? Don't shake your head too quickly. India actually did believe it and kept believing for decades. They not only paid real money, but also poured in resources, willingly getting fleeced for over 10 years. And what was the result? They ended up clutching a pile of scrap metal, ironically labeled top tier, perfectly embodying the saying, fierce as a tiger in action, yet 0 kills and 5 deaths on the scoreboard. Thus, India carved out an absurd yet comical chapter in the history of global arms trade. So here's the question: how did such an obviously transparent scheme managed to deceive India for decades? And how did they gradually stumble from full of ambition to empty-handed? Today, let's dive into this laughable yet heartbreaking historical episode. Our story begins right after India gained independence. Although the British Empire was then in decline, it still aimed to squeeze out one last profit before leaving. Led by Mountbatten, British elites were true masters of persuasion. They repackaged the Hercules, an unfinished aircraft carrier teetering on the brink of abandonment, as a symbol of sea power and a must-have for great nations. This propaganda blitz completely bewildered India's then inexperienced elite. In those days, the phrase owning an aircraft carrier became an obsession etched deep into every Indian's heart. Thus, after several years of back-and-forth negotiations, India officially initiated the deal in 1957 and signed the contract in 1961, renaming the ship Ines Vikram. But this contract was riddled with traps. All unfinished work had to be completed in Britain. Spare parts must be purchased exclusively from Britain, and even maintenance required British technicians. Every single word screamed cash, tripling India's acquisition and maintenance costs. Despite this, newly independent India behaved like a child ecstatic over a brand new toy. Prime Minister Nehru even dashed onto the flight deck shouting unabashedly, "From today onward, India is a great nation possessing an aircraft carrier." Believe it or not, this ship initially brought considerable glory. During the Third Indo-Pak War, Ines Vikram blockaded the Bay of Bengal, launching 4,000 sorties within days and crushing East Pakistani forces without mercy, directly leading to the birth of Bangladesh. And this stunning victory completely blinded India. They utterly ignored facts such as their opponent's weakness and the carrier's outdated facilities, instead elevating the aircraft carrier to the status of king of all weapons and the very embodiment of national strength. At this point, India's imagination ran wild. If one carrier is so powerful, wouldn't a dual carrier fleet make us invincible? So they began asking worldwide, who sells aircraft carriers? Finally, in 1986, they acquired another retired carrier from Britain. The Hermes is he naming in this first shot. Thus, India became one of the few nations globally boasting a dual carrier fleet. However, ideals are full, but reality is skinny. By the time these two ships reached India, they were practically museum relics. Sure enough, problems emerged almost immediately. In 1893, Ines Virat suffered a complete electrical system failure, requiring several years of repairs. The other ship on Ines Vikram fared even worse. In 1994, a pipeline rupture triggered a fire that killed 6 people. As repairs continued, issues multiplied. By 1897, India simply decided, enough, let's decommission them. This left India in an awkward spot, their dual carrier dream shattered. Who would fill the gap? Once again, India turned its gaze worldwide, but this time, nearly every nation gave India the cold shoulder. The reason was simple. In 1998, India conducted 5 underground nuclear tests in quick succession, officially crossing the threshold into nuclear-armed state status. At such a sensitive juncture, who would dare sell you an aircraft carrier capable of blue water operations? Just as India faced repeated rejections and stood helpless, a mysterious buyer stepped forward. One country publicly declared, "What others won't sell, I will," for just $200 million. When this news broke, all of India was stunned. Could there really be such good fortune? Speaking of which, you might wonder why onions suddenly entered the picture. In India, onions are far more than mere vegetables. They're political barometers and litmus tests for regimes. First to link onions with politics was Indira Gandhi, India's only female prime minister. Although this formidable leader achieved great feats during the Third Indo-Pak War and the Green Revolution, her late 1970s proved difficult. Her earlier radical family planning policies had sparked widespread public resentment, ultimately leading to her downfall in 1977. Yet Indira was a top-tier politician who swiftly found the key to her comeback. In 1980, severe drought struck India, causing onion prices to skyrocket and bringing immense hardship to ordinary citizens. The ruling Janata Party, however, remained dismissive, believing market forces would self-correct. This handed Indira a huge opportunity. She passionately declared across various platforms, if a regime cannot even control onion prices, how can it govern a nation? These words instantly resonated with the populace. Citizens protested wearing onion garlands, women took to the streets, and public opinion erupted. Ultimately, Indira's Congress Party swept the 1980 general elections, returning her to power with an overwhelming mandate. Since then, an unwritten rule has governed Indian politics. Whoever holds the reins must treat onion prices as more vital than life itself. Even a slight increase sends shivers down their spines. Yet despite this, the curse remained unbroken. In 1798, an onion storm swept across India once again. Floods caused onion reserves to plummet by 40%, and within less than a quarter, prices surged from a few rupees per kilogram to 150 rupees, a staggering 150-fold increase. Supply disruptions spread across many regions, fueling public outrage. This time, the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP) learned its lesson, immediately rolling out a combination punch: a total export ban, emergency global procurement of 120,000 tons of onions, and a crackdown on hoarding and profiteering. Although these measures temporarily stabilized the situation, they address symptoms rather than root causes. In 2010, influenced by the El Niño phenomenon, onion production drastically declined, sending prices soaring 5 to 6 times higher and triggering intense social unrest. By 2019, our old friend, Prime Minister Modi, encountered the same challenge. That year, alternating droughts and floods halved national onion production, prompting opposition parties to fiercely accuse the government of neglecting people's livelihoods. As usual, the Modi government deployed its tried and true trio, banning exports, encouraging imports, and cracking down on unscrupulous merchants, even resorting to importing onions from Turkey despite tense bilateral relations. The result? Predictably, all measures failed. At one point, onions in India became more precious than gold. So how did Modi break free from this curse? The answer is somewhat clever. The 2019 general elections took place between April and May, where the onion crisis fully erupted only in September. In other words, when Modi secured his victory, the crisis hadn't truly arrived yet. Additionally, during that period, he made frequent bold moves in Kashmir, and his assertive stance successfully diverted significant public attention. Consequently, the onion issue concerning people's livelihoods got drowned amidst the clamor of geopolitical maneuvering. As time passed, weather patterns normalized across regions, market supply and demand rebalanced, and onion prices gradually subsided. Ultimately, India's onion problem appears on the surface to be a natural disaster, but in reality it stems from the combined effects of upper-level political maneuvering, mid-level corruption, and lower-level infrastructure deficiencies. Without fundamentally resolving these structural issues, relying solely on last-minute fixes will hardly enable the people to truly win in the long run. After all, in this nation, whoever can stabilize that tiny onion just might stabilize the entire country. Alright, that concludes today's video. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you found this helpful, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support is my greatest motivation to keep going. See you next time.